Wizard, even though the new DEX bars upgrades are highly experimental, the on-chain data is giving us some really interesting insights that I'm going to walk through with you here in real time. One of which being we can find out not only who's making profit trading in crypto, but who's making profit consistently over multiple low-cap crypto tokens. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we can see when buying or selling pressure is being taken out of the market by, in aggregate, who's selling at a profit and who's selling at a loss, by how much. And also what we're going to look at, in fact, I'll start with it because it's up on my screen here. We can see when a rug pull is likely about to happen. So let me start with that, and then I'll show you how to find traders that are profiting consistently using all of this. Now, a lot of this is new to me. I've been developing with this and looking at pattern after pattern after pattern. I've not been trading this. So I'm just going to show you what I've observed. And then if you have any experience as well, feel free to add that for others in the comments too. Now let's get into it. So for those of you who missed the last video, I'll just do a very quick update as to what this is actually showing us. So even though this is a chart over time with price, with a candlestick chart, so you're used to seeing that, each bar here does not represent an hour on the clock or a day on the clock or 5 minutes on the clock. You're used to seeing, 5 minutes past, a candlestick gets printed, then another candlestick, then another candlestick. You're used to seeing that based on time, but time doesn't move price, volume moves price. And so this is based on volume. Every single one of these bars you can see up here is printed because about 9 Ethereum was traded. And so when a bar is printed here, that means, 9 Ethereum was traded, 9 Ethereum was traded, 9 Ethereum was traded. And in fact, if I want to see that total volume, I can see it over here. You'll notice that the volume sort of spikes here and trends up. That's because when a new token launches, it doesn't know what to use as the cutoff for volume. If you want to equalize that, you can just go and equalize it here, and it'll get rid of that sort of early noise of learning how much volume to use as a cutoff. And now you can see this is a little bit more flat here in terms of the total volume. So that's what this is doing. And there's some advantages to this. The first here is momentum. So these colored blocks here represent momentum. The lighter, the faster, the darker, the slower. Meaning that over here, price moved very slowly compared to the rest of it over here. And in fact, if I use this tool and I now highlight from here to here, that happened in 5.1 hours. And if I go from here to here, that happened in 1.9 days. So we saw a very big slowdown in momentum. So that's not the indicator for the rug pull. What's the indicator for the rug pull? Well, first of all, let's just go over here to DEX Tools. Shout out to DEX Tools, great tool. I use it all the time. And this is a time-based chart over here. So this is showing you on an hourly basis a bar is printed. So it's not like the one I've been showing you a second ago. With the DEX Tools one over here, every time an hour moves, a bar is printed. This is what you're used to. Whereas over here, this is happening based on volume. So you can see the same asset, this is the same token, very, very different view of things. And so with a time-based bar, you might think, okay, cool, volume's coming in, buying volume's coming in, and that's all very exciting and all of that. But actually, when you look at this here, you can actually see the pattern of how volume's coming in, meaning this is faked. And how is this faked? Well, there's a lot of new account addresses. How do I know that? I know that based on these blue bars. So what are these blue bars telling me? Well, here's our buying volume. So for example, let's look at this bar over here. Here's our buying volume. And this green bar was made up of new buyers. So accounts that had never owned this token before, or accounts that have no open positions in this token, I should say as well. And there we go. 54% of the buying volume came in from this new buying volume, these new accounts. Okay, but doesn't it feel like a bit of a coincidence that we have this staircase pattern going on here? So you see the staircase pattern. I mean, you can see it, it's very obvious, right? You see this looks like a big staircase increasing up. Isn't it a bit of a coincidence that all the new people coming in are trading just enough for this staircase to look like a staircase? Of course, it's not a coincidence. Of course, what's actually happening here is this volume is being faked, and it gets faked so that it appears on leaderboards like sites like DEX Tools or any tool, even this one. That is the first giveaway, is this pattern. I mean, new buying volume is usually very useful. It tells us if there's good marketing coming in for a token or whatever. And similarly down here, these yellow bars correspond to the number of new accounts. So this is the volume in amount of wrapped Ethereum in this case, or sorry, no, USDT. And this is the number of actual accounts that provided that. So that's what these show. Down here, you can include the mint or burn. So this shows any changes to the liquidity pool. Now this is a red flag. Let me actually walk back here. Let me show you. If I was in this token, if I was trading this, I can tell you now from all the charts that I've looked at doing this, if I had seen this here with this staircase happening consistently, which it is, it's consistent staircase, this would have been a good time to sell. Why? This is a change in the liquidity pool. The volume's clearly being faked, and this is now purely, I think, for price manipulation. Now, when you change a liquidity pool, it doesn't mean it's going to change the price drastically. And it depends on the ratio of liquidity pool tokens, and that's a whole nother ball game. But what I'm just saying is we can see if an event happening with the liquidity pool for a burn happened. If it's orange, it's a burn. If it's green, it's a mint. So that's also a telltale sign. Now down here, there's also something quite interesting going on over here. So we don't just have buying volume. So here we have green buying volume, and we want to know, okay, cool, we've got buying volume. How much of that is coming from new entrants into this asset? Here we can see that over here. But what about the selling volume? We can see a bit of red here, right? We can see a bit of red here coming in. This is the percentage buying volume. This is the actual number. Right, so if I look at that, these bars down here tell me who the sellers are. So if the volume is an empty gray, that means it's coming from only traders that acquired the token after it launched. And purple is telling me the volume coming from traders who owned the token before it launched, who are selling. And so that happened here. So very interestingly, if you see that with a staircase, it can be a very big sign that there's going to be a dump about to happen. So even here would have been a good sign to see that along with the staircase. And so that's very useful. Now, also, if we look at this gray area again, and this is going to come in very handy. I'll show you another token, and then actually we'll look at the profitable traders. So if we look at this gray bar over here, who were the sellers here? Well, they were sellers that bought the token after it listed, and they sold at a profit. This is the profit they sold at, right? About 500 USDT, this bar over here shows. And if the bar goes purple, or sorry, pink, like down here, this means they sold at a loss. So this is measuring for every single account, up to 20,000 accounts. That's what this tool is tracking for every token listed after April, from April onwards. And I've also added some legacy ones like, you know, Shibu or Doge or Chainlink. That's some of the big ones I've added in anyway. But this is tracking for 20,000 accounts, the last 20,000 accounts, all the trades, meaning that this is all faked. No, probably, you know, a few traders lost money here, but really this person was like, okay, like no real new traders are coming in. Let's just exit, something like that. Now for this bit, you're going to be really glad you stuck around, because let me show you something really interesting. Let's look at a token which is actually not some rug pull, or not yet a rug pull. And I think this one was called Bobcat. And so let's see here, it could be one of these. And there you go. Okay, perfect. Yes, this will do very, very nicely. So interestingly enough, and I'm going to zoom into this in a minute so you can see it in where it's not so detailed. But have a look at this. This is very interesting to me. I keep seeing this pattern come up over and over again. So very often with some of these low cap cryptos that are launched that have genuine trading volume that comes in, when they die, they're not dead, and they come back, and they come back big. So for example, if you had got in at this low and sold up here, I know that's easy to say in hindsight, you know, 1800%. It's stupid money, stupid gains there. And so what's actually going on over here? How could we have spotted that? Have a look at this. This is, for me, just one of the most valuable things about this DexBars initiative. So we can see the new buying volume coming in. We can see the selling happening over here. And in fact, what I'm going to do is just magnify this a bit. And what this does is it increases the volume. So we went from, for example, here being 8 WBNB per bar to now 32 BNB being a bar. And so that's just, it gets rid of a lot of the detail for while I'm explaining things to you. So we can see momentum was kind of slow to start, then it really came in, then it slowed down again. And we can see here that people were, buying in here at fairly large volume. So, 21 WBNB, for example, is what that bar there represents. And so that was all pretty heavy. And then from this time period here, this is just the same existing bots trading and selling. That's pretty much what's going on in this time period where there's just this big gap. But interestingly enough here, look at the amount of accounts selling at a profit. And then that's followed here by accounts selling at a loss. And down here is the unrealized P&L. So when I see this is looking at every single trading account being tracked. And again, there's up to 20,000 being tracked. And it's looking at aggregate, if all of them sold at the current price, so, at whatever the price was here or whatever the price was here, if they all got that price, would they be in a profit and a loss? And when it goes purple, that means they're going to be at a loss. Every time I see this, where you see this sort of slowdown in momentum and the trend has been down, so this is important. The context is price has been going down. People have been selling at a loss. People got out early, then people selling at a loss. And now everyone's feeling a bit of pain and they're offloading that pain. That usually corresponds to what I've observed as a buying opportunity. And so this is a great way to spot bottoms. And funnily enough, usually, and different assets show, different signals. Here, some people offloaded pain. Coincidentally, those were bottoms, although I don't see that as a strong signal over there. But it's happened again. Today, I can't show you the future. This is right now. This has happened again. Is this done? Is it dead? Probably. I mean, it went from being, 4 zeros now down to 5. It probably is dead. But if you see some momentum coming back in on this token, you better believe that you bought in at a good price, because you're buying when other people have sold at pain. You're buying at their pain, meaning you're not you're not selling at that pain. You're buying at the pain. And so that's really something. This for me here, this section, in fact, I know I'm drawing a lot, so let me just redraw that. This section here is really, really useful to me. This matters. And the new buying volume is interesting for new cryptos. If you want to see, hey, are new entrants coming in? You can see its genuine volume by how it's trading. And you're interested to see if there's a going concern, i.e. is this going to just go dead, or actually will this continue? If so, when do I see a good buying opportunity or a good opportunity to get out? Here's something else very interesting I've noticed looking at a lot of these as developing, the charting tool, etc. Because of course, just a side note as a developer, for those of you who I know are coders, we've used TradingView before. It's a fantastic charting application, but I can't use it like we needed to for dollar bars. We had to build this again from scratch. In fact, before I was using SVGs, now I'm using something different. We had to build this from scratch so that, it would work for this use case. So all of this is new. But here's something I learned. So here the context price was going down. People offloaded at a loss and the market was feeling pain. Great. Could have made a lot of money there. But interestingly enough, price also goes up. And what I've noticed here is if you see a lot of sell volume come in, here where people are selling at a profit. So if this bar was really high, but higher than it, actually that's quite high. Okay, yeah, so 35.92 wrapped BNB sold here at a profit. That's usually a sign, if you see a big spike in blue, that the price is going to go down. The other time I've seen that a good signal for, hey, price might go down is like this dark blue here. So when a lot of new traders, when there's a big spike in a lot of new traders coming in, usually I find that marks some kind of top. Now over here, we didn't see any top. The only thing that signaled a sort of top here was a big change in the liquidity pool, a big transaction for a change in liquidity pool tokens. Again, these greens are mints, the orange are burns. That doesn't tell me that there's been a big manipulation of price. It tells me that's likely happened. And so here, very shortly after, you see that drop. The other thing you interestingly see, or you started seeing here, which you didn't see before, is the amount of sales volume coming in that were people that owned the token before it listed. So these are people dumping You know, these are pre-buyers or people that created the token, or a person dumping here on the market. So fascinating stuff. Now, how can we see who's actually profiting consistently over multiple tokens? Let's go, because I said we'd do that, and I've been doing all sorts of other stuff. So up here on scorecard, you'll see here that if you have it filtered on the number of pools, it shows you, it actually tells you who is making money consistently over multiple trading pools. So this person over here, account B63, in fact, let me just get my screen brush tool over here. So this account here, boom, 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 same account all the way down to here. And I can see that because it's one of 7 pools, 2 of 7 pools, 3 of 7 pools, 4 of 7 pools, 5, 6, 7, right? All of these tokens were traded by this one account. Pretty cool, huh? And so this person here made, you know, ROI 65%, 50, 53, etc. We'll look at their trades in a minute, don't worry, 222. The ROI is calculated as the following. It looks at the total amount of capital that person's invested divided by how much they've sold at a profit. So if they've bought a lot and then sold well at a profit and then bought again, that will actually reduce their ROI because technically they have more capital in, they haven't sold yet at a profit or loss, and they've got risk in that token. And these tokens are highly risky. That's the way I chose to calculate ROI, and it's working so far. It's quite a good signal for who's actually doing best in terms of risk to reward as well. So that's what's happening over there. So let's go and see, can we find out, you know, the strategy of this actual trader over here? So let's click on something they've traded, for example, like, I don't know, Shipe or Sheeta or Cardi or whatever. And a lot of these will look the same probably. So this is a sniper. They bought in here at 1:11 p.m. They sold at 1:52. So they're not a front runner. And I've tried to exclude like obvious front running. I'm not interested in finding a lot of obvious front runners. You will find some front runners with this tool, but otherwise you would just have to crawl through streams and streams of front runners before you found any useful traders. So I filtered a lot of those, actually filtered them out. And then you can see here their ROI dropped because they put more capital in, but they haven't sold that yet. So here they bought, then they sold, then they bought again. So this person, where did they get in at? They got in at 8x, so 8 zeros, 8471. 8471. So they got in down here. This person got in roughly down here. And so, you know, they made 128%. So they would have sold, you know, wherever, like somewhere like there, whatever. So that person, they basically scalped that, they dropped in and they made a bit of money. By the way, just to show you something up here, if you'll notice, this blocks lagged just appeared here. And I'm glad it did because this is something I need to take you through. The way this algorithm's working is because it's looking at the tick data for you. So before on the older DEX bars, you would, you know, connect to a data provider, either CryptoWizards or I think it was BitQuery we were using. And then you would have to wait for all the algorithm and calculations to happen. What's actually happening now is I've got a full node running on Ethereum and a full node running on Binance Smart Chain, and looking at every token that listed from April onwards. So something has interrupted that node, or that node has a lot to crunch through right now. And then it'll pick up steam again quickly and plow through those blocks. But if you think about it, every single trade for every single account, for every single token being launched is being tracked. The amount of compute happening to get this information is utterly ridiculous. And so this will just give you a warning like, hey, if you're trading this live, just be careful because there's still like 53 blocks. In fact, I haven't seen it that high in a long time. So there's definitely something going on. Now, by the way, ArbScan has also been added here. It's not useful, but I think, you know, the fact is it's a byproduct of running all these other algorithms. We might as well have it. For Ethereum, it's simulating flash loans. For Binance Smart Chain, I didn't find anything that showed any success with the flash loan simulation, so I just didn't include it. But this is actually simulating flash loans and saying, yep, these flash loans are going through, but it discounts gas. It's hugely risky. And if you do go and trade against Uniswap or V3 or V2, it's likely you'll lose your money. The same thing here with Binance Smart Chain, except here what I've done for it is had it look at the Uniswap and Pancakeswap aggregators and look at if you bought and sold at each of those or one of those, what actually should happen. I actually lost testing this 100x one because it looked like it should have worked. I actually lost, I think, $30 myself doing that. So please don't use this. Like, this is here because it is a useful byproduct. People request ArbScan. I've spoken on this so many times. I'm going to put it to bed now, but I've just added it here as a byproduct. You don't need desktop apps. This just scans for you using the same engine. So it's just there because. Now going back to the scorecard, I want to find some profitable pools. So here I'm going to switch to Ethereum now and see, okay, let's see. This is clearly a bot, you know, closing 122 positions. I'm looking for some human traders over here. This person closed 2 positions. This person closed 1. And in fact, maybe what I want to do is filter by timestamp or even, yeah, timestamp will do. That'll tell me who's making money now. So this person's making money, ROA 12%. Here we go, 112%. Let's see if we find, 355% on Brat. Excellent. Let's go and have a look at Brat. So this person bought in early at 11.12 and they've started selling now at 11.17. So they could be a sniper, or they might also just have insider knowledge as to which tokens are going to be pumped. You don't know the answer to who they are exactly, but you can see what their trading behavior is. And that's why I actually find this pools filter very useful, because it tells me, this person's been in multiple pools. So for example, here in bits, they made 180 something percent. When did they buy? When did they sell? And different days, you see different like types of traders. I've seen traders who literally just bought in at like excellent spots. And you're like, oh, wow, okay, that's a useful account to follow. But right now, I think I'm just seeing mainly people sniping. So this person came in at 52627. So they came in a bit later. And, you know, they've now sold their bags, and they sold their bags at 186.2%. So this could be a good trader to follow and to see what are they doing. I don't have a mechanism on here for tracking trader accounts in terms of alerts and things, but there are, I guess, services out there. If you're using those services, please put down what service you use in the comments. That'll be helpful for others as well. This side here is the last 2,000 trades. If you click on an address, it'll then summarize the transactions for that address down here. If I click on the token here, it'll open up Etherscan or BSC scan, or just copy the token here. So you've got the token address, the pool address, the creator address. So you might start becoming familiar with certain creators, and whatever they're creating has similar patterns perhaps. And then here, the actual address that you are viewing of what their trades were over here. So that's what's going on up there. There's also a guide to walk through some of the detail. I'm also probably going to put this video here because it might be useful for people. But nonetheless, the facts are we can now see who's making profit consistently over various pools, how they're doing it. There's a lot to explore there. I mean, we have to dig in to find who those traders are. Different days, you're going to find different accounts. This is new to me as well. So I hope you find some interesting insights. If you do, put them in the comments, help other people out. And until the next one, take care and talk soon.